Children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only like 11 people alive of the 200-something crew, and the entire ship was rotting down to the waterline. That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer, an explorer, going into space. Mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shut your mind. Talking about Justin Bieber. It's pure evil. They're taking your intellect, your soul, and giving you Michael Jordan and Bieber. Unlock your human potential. Defeat the globalists who want to shatter your mind. Your doorway to perception. I want to see you truly live. I want to see you truly be who you are.
System, the company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions upon it, people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna steal your daughter at the mall. We're gonna steal your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
good morning, people. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for being here so early in the morning. I don't know what people are talking about. First off, let's let's acknowledge the great Alex Jones and all his wisdom put into song. Oh, good stuff. That stuff is like really old too. That's like pre-lawsuit stuff. Like the Sandy Hook lawsuit stuff. That's like pre that. Really old stuff. But it still hits in my opinion. But anyway, so we've all known that there's been this Vanity Fair article coming out. Now, before I get into that, I keep seeing people in chat talking about something in regards to Bukkake victim Zoom. I have no idea what people are talking about. I have no idea what that is. I looked to see if anybody else was live covering it. I don't see it. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, I saw people in chat talking about it. Beats the shit out of me. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, there was a Vanity Fair article, and I didn't realize that it was going to be a two-parter. The first part dropped early this morning, and then the second part apparently is supposed to drop tomorrow. So this live stream will be a two-parter. So I'll go over the other one tomorrow morning. Most likely. I will be reacting to this because I have not read this. It just dropped this morning. I got up, I made coffee, I took care of Clover and did everything I needed to do. And I got a full day ahead of me as well. But Shelly, I don't know. Are you talking about the Vanity Fair article? I mean, just Google it. But we're gonna go over it, at least part one. And I'm curious as to how this turned out. But I'll be reacting to it because I have not read it yet. And this won't be a very long live stream. So I hope you guys are I hope I'm not interrupting your day too much, because I promise I won't take too much of it. Now, I don't know. Good morning, Olivia Nile. Good morning, Scott McGinnis. And good morning, Team Brittany as well. I've got a lot of yeah. Let me give a big shout out to all my mods, man. You guys are great. You guys are really awesome. I really appreciate it. I don't say thank you to you guys enough.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Sue Nowicki. Appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, I got let me see here. I don't want to read the last name. This is why I normally don't read these out, but this was significant in a very, very overly generous way. Sometimes people are just too generous, and I'm just like a little blown away by it. So Tara sent to PayPal, and it was very generous. So I want to say thank you so much to Tara. I appreciate you so much for that. Mary B, I'm telling you, I don't bring Drago down. You're just gonna have to go to my Instagram to see pictures of Drago and video. I'll try to be better about making video about him, but I'm not bringing him down here during live streams, dude. Like it's I distract myself bad enough as it is. I don't need a baby kitten to distract me even more, getting into like everything. So I already went through this with Clubber when he was a baby, and I'm just so grateful that he's already grown out of it, and he just lays here at my feet, nice and peaceful, nice and calm. I'm not trying to fuck with that now. So, um, well, it's a he, Olivia, and yes, you're right. It's a he, but yes, he will sit on my head if I bring him down here. He sleeps. He's gotten better about sleeping on my head. Now he sleeps next to my head, or he cuddles up with Clever, which is great either way. So here's this Vanity Fair article. So I imagine this is going to be in good favor. This is going to be in putting Karen Reed in a good light. I would think so. I hope I'm not speaking too soon, because it says there Karen Reed tells her story, part 1, a murder trial in Massachusetts. So this, I'm going to be very interested to see what this says. Aaron, yes. Clubber adores Drago. He adores him. Like they are homies. It's amazing. Callie Sandy RN, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to Logic. Appreciate you. So Karen Reed tells her story. Sorry guys, I can't see the chat if I'm reading here, so I'm sorry if I miss anything. Karen Reed tells her story, part 1, a murder trial in Massachusetts. After John O'Keefe was found near death in the snowy front yard of a fellow Boston cop, his girlfriend was arrested. As Karen Reed's second murder trial looms, she's ready to talk about what she says really happened. Clever, I need you to stop that, buddy. Thank you. This is the first article in a 2-part series about Karen Reed's trial. Part 2 will be released on October 30th, which is tomorrow. On an August morning, Karen Reed is wheeling my suitcase into her 4-bedroom. Now, the author of this, her name is Julie Miller. I was actually hoping it was the same. Writer who I interacted with. Oh, I managed to jump in chat here and catch this. Megan Easton, thank you so much. Member for 3 months. Didn't realize I was a member. I'm glad though. You've been a member for 3 months, Megan. But right on. I'm glad you have been, and I'm glad that you are. Thank you. Oh wait, let me do something here real quick. There we go. Yeah, I was hoping that it was a so a while back when the Idaho college murders took place, the Brian Koberger thing, when that first happened, before they even caught Koberger, there was somebody who went down to Glenda G, thank you so much. There was somebody who went down to from Vanity Fair who went down to Idaho because grifters, man, tragedy pimps were at an all-time high at the time, and of course Bull Sweat Betty showed up there, and she and this author from Vanity Fair, not this one. I was hoping it was her, but not this one. But she went down there to cover a story on Brian Enton from News Nation, and I was covering Bullhorn Betty quite a bit at the time, and so it was funny to see them take a little jab at her. And she thought it was a good mention, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, she brags about it. Like, yeah, she still brags about the Vanity Fair thing, which it was like, dude, like they totally trolled you. What do you mean? Um, and I was really hoping it was the same article, it was the same author, because I actually talked to this author. I exchanged emails with the not this one, the one with the Brian Etten thing, and I exchanged email with her. We corresponded, and we were going to set up a live stream, and she said she watched the channel and she really enjoyed it. And then when it came down to it, she kind of backed out because she said that after the article, she was getting a lot of threats, and Betty had the support of John Natalia Lee Riches at the time, and I would not doubt if he had a whole lot to do with that, because he specializes in doxing, so I wouldn't be surprised if he got her information and then just decided to intimidate her to not talk anymore about Bullhorn Betty, which is fine because look at her now. Now she's getting all the press she ever wanted, but not the kind that she ever wanted. Lala, thank you so much. Loving the big mush side of you, pet dad. Enjoy their love. Oh yeah, man, I'm a mushy motherfucker. Let me tell you. I'm all mush, motherfucker. Oh, really? He doxed you? Yeah, he's a douchebag. Fuck that guy. Like that's all he's good for is doxing people. Like, dude, something really funny actually happened. Let me see if I can actually find that real quick. Just to give you guys an example of like what a fucking idiot this guy is. Because somebody sent it to me and I want to make sure that shit. No, I mean somebody tagged me in it. I don't know where I'm gonna find it though. Let me see something. I'm gonna try one more thing and then we'll get on with the article, okay? Because it's just funny. Let's see. No. Let's try this. And yeah, this is tough because I can't. Yeah, I have no way of pinpointing it. Yeah, people are getting pissed about this dude. I mean, yeah, everything I'm seeing is just like history on how fucking stupid this guy is. But I'm just trying to find the one clip that a couple people sent me or tagged me in, and now I can't find them. Yeah, I can't find it. All right, never mind. Yeah, so yeah, he went to the Delphi trial and he tried to interview a lawyer, and he kept asking about the lawyer's client and all this and that, thinking that it was the defense attorney, and he was being all aggressive and shit. And then the guy turns around and he's like, "Do you know who I am?" The guy's like, he's like, I'm the prosecutor. I'm not the defense attorney, man. This is a guy who calls himself an investigative journalist. It's really funny. Idiot. So, oh, look at that. There we go. Oh, okay. Thank you, Olivia. See, Olivia's awesome. All right, I guess we're gonna go over it after all, real quick. Thank you, Olivia. You guys are gonna love this.
Do you plan to appeal? Do you think your client received a fair trial? Client, you know who I am? Ooh, that was the prosecutor. Botched that one.
Oh, that was a prosecutor. I botched that one. What a fucking idiot, dude. One more time. One more time. Look at this guy.
Do you plan to appeal?
Oh, the Sarah Boone murder. It wasn't the Delphi. It was Sarah Boone.
Do you think your client received a fair trial? Client, you know who I am? Ooh, that was the prosecutor. Botched that one.
What a fucking idiot, dude. So stupid. That's the guy, just so you guys know, that's the guy that showed up to one of Turtle Boy's hearings and started screaming in his face, "You're going to jail!" And Turtle Boy just kept talking about his shoes. Like he showed up trying to get some clout and started yelling and screaming about Turtle Boy, and then Turtle Boy was just talking about his shoes. He's like, "Dude, look at your fucking shoes, bro." So this guy shows up to the Sarah Boone trial and then starts asking this guy about his client and will he appeal, and the prosecutor slam dunked the case, and he's just like, "Dude, do you know who I am? I don't have a client. Do you know who I am?" And then he walked away shaking his head. Jonathan Lee Riches is such a dumbass. Scooter 54, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to Logic. He likes Hot Pockets too. Yeah. And he likes burgers. He likes burgers. The Keefe family. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Charlie Lynn gifted 5 memberships. Oh my God. Thank you, Charlie Lynn. I appreciate it. You had one job. Oh, look at this one. Look who wins handle of the day. Weddy for Yanetti. You win handle of the day, Weddy, for Yanetti. I'm Weddy for you. 100%. All right, let's get back to this article. This is the first article in a two-part series about Karen Reed's trial. Part 2 will be released tomorrow on October 30th. On an August morning, Karen Reed is wheeling my suitcase into her 4-bedroom Mansfield home. Her minimalist colonial is embedded with clues to her current existence. A Ziploc go bag in case of sudden arrest sits hidden in the buffet of her blue dining room. In it, Advil, melatonin, toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush, drugstore lipstick, strip of paper with her lawyer's phone number on it, and a bottle of Laura Mercier foundation left over from her previous life. A copy of David Rudolph's American Injustice, a 2021 account of horrifying prosecutorial misconduct, rests atop a stack of finance books. A burner phone and SIM cards purchased after Reed learned authorities were tracking her this year is stashed inside a safe box beneath a scenic painting. In her closet, a framed Rebel Without a Cause poster stands behind the poster board exhibits from her last trial. She's been staying with family and friends, but wanted to conduct our interviews in the house. Reed told me she'd have a security person stay overnight. Said security turns out to be a volunteer, a friend of sorts, who declined to be named for this story, but who looks like John Cena and has a license to carry, as Reed said. Strangest sleepover ever. What? That's the weirdest thing I ever heard. She has a security guard. A security guard who looks like who?
And his name is John Cena!
All right, I wasn't sure. I just checking. Marisma, member for a month. Thank you, Will Clever, and now Kitty, Cherry, and Mods. Thank you so much. As Reed said, strangest sleepover ever. And it is strange for a journalist to stay at a subject's home, but Reed's offer was audacious. 3 days during which she would discuss any and every aspect of her life and complicated legal saga with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Okay, now we're talking. There will be no lawyer present or conversation parameters, even though anything she tells me on the record could be used against her in her forthcoming trial. There's nothing we're afraid of, she told me. Any question you have, I have answers for. What? I love that shit, dude. Karen Reed. So already, this is off to a great start. Because I see Emma saying, yikes, right? See, I don't see it that way. Because the evidence dictates that she's innocent. She has nothing to hide. She's not worried about being caught in a lie because she believes in the truth and she is telling the truth. So she's like, yeah, I don't fucking need my lawyers here. I could sit here and you're going to hang out with me for 3 fucking days and I'm going to sit here and talk shit with you and tell you everything. No holds barred. I have nothing to hide here. And the fact that the author of this article is starting things off with this. The author of this article is kicking this whole thing off with this, setting the tone with this, is extremely telling. It's great. So she's given her a lot of credit. You could tell that she's not trying to paint her in a negative light. At least it doesn't seem so yet. She goes on to say, my editor and I discussed boundaries. I arrived with groceries for myself, and I booked a backup hotel room in case I felt uncomfortable. My family was nervous. Me, 6 months pregnant, bunking with an alleged criminal. Journalists rarely get such unfettered access to any subject, especially not someone in the middle of such unusual high-stakes circumstances. A defendant in a murder case that's become a national obsession, whose freedom hangs in the balance and whose fate hinges on reliving the worst day of her life over and over again. Her story: around 12:20 a.m. on January 29th, 2022, after a night of drinking, Reed dropped off her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, at the home of another officer, Brian Albert. She watched him walk toward the house where a smattering of Albert's family and friends, including a federal agent, were drinking. Then she returned to O'Keefe's house, where she lived part-time, and went to sleep. When Reed awoke about 4 hours later, she was panicked to see that her boyfriend hadn't made it home. After calling O'Keefe's friends and discovering no one knew where he was, Reed returned to the house where she'd left him. She found O'Keefe covered in snow in the front yard, unconscious, with blood pooled around his nose and mouth. Straining to understand how he wound up gravely injured in a middle-class neighborhood at 6 a.m., she wondered whether she had accidentally backed her vehicle into John O'Keefe the evening before. She uttered 9 words that would immediately make her suspect and radically change the direction of her life. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And there's a really nice picture of the two of them together. Let's blow that up so you guys can see. By 5 o'clock that night, Michael Proctor, a Massachusetts state trooper, had seized Reed's car and phone. 16 hours into his investigation, Proctor texted his friends, there will be serious charges brought on the girl. She's a whack job cunt. 0 chance she skates. She's fucked. In a later group text, the investigator told his supervisors he was searching Reed's phone and appraised them of his progress. No nudes so far. When someone surmised that the homeowner would surely receive some shit, quote unquote, as well, Proctor responded, nope, homeowner's a Boston cop too. Proctor has called the text unprofessional and regrettable, but argued that his remarks have 0 impact on the integrity of this investigation. He did not respond to Vanity Fair questions. So this is good because I love that they're not wasting any time. They went right into Proctor being a douchebag. Like, they didn't waste any time with this person. This writer didn't even waste a second. Sorry, give me 1 second here. And I absolutely love that. Again, that's a good sign. I'm feeling good about this article so far. Goes on to say that Reed wouldn't find out about those texts until much later, along with the public. In the immediate term, her charmed existence as an equity analyst and an adjunct professor at Bentley University dissolved. Commonwealth prosecutors claimed that after a drunken argument, Reed reversed her Lexus SUV into O'Keefe, ultimately killing him, and then drove off. On February 1st, 2022, she was charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of personal injury or death. She lost both jobs, her health insurance, her car, and her life savings. Now Reed is living off what remains of her 401k. Not long after my visit, she sold her house and subsidized her legal expenses. She still owes more than $5 million to deferred fees for the highly skilled defense team she marshaled. Reed's first trial ended on July 1st with shock, but no conclusion. Norfolk County Superior Court Judge Beverly Cannoni declared a hung jury and a mistrial, a conclusion that 5 jurors have since come forward to contest according to the defense, saying that the jury had unanimously voted to acquit Reed on the charges of murder and leaving the scene, and were only divided on the manslaughter charge. District Attorney Michael Morrissey's office plans to prosecute Reed again on all 3 charges, with a trial date set for January. Reed's team has taken the matter to the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court and will argue on November 6th for the charges to be dismissed on the grounds of double jeopardy. Also on her side is the ACLU of Massachusetts, which filed an amicus brief backing this argument and criticizing the court. The DA's office declined to answer Vanity Fair's question, citing the case's active nature. Reed's lawyers believe the first trial's outcome is just another twist in a strange saga that involves no fewer than 4 law enforcement bureaus, including the Massachusetts State Police, the Canton Police, the Boston Police, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, ATF, aka No Game Hear Ye. They allege that Reed not only didn't kill O'Keefe, but that she is a victim too of a crooked DA, jury tampering, and corrupt law enforcement. Oh, excuse me. Other than feeling wrongfully persecuted and prosecuted. Excuse me. Let me read that again. Other than feeling wrongfully persecuted and prosecuted, I feel incredibly violated, Reed tells me. Police have visited her home 3 times, seized her phones twice, subpoenaed her family's financial records, her private text messages, her most intimate thoughts have been presented to the world, dissected and debated by the public. Her personal tragedy is many people's true crime entertainment. I love this. And even though the second trial, scheduled to begin January 27th, will offer more of the same humiliations and intrusions and plunge her deeper into 7-digit debt, she's pushing forward. I'm not backing down now, she said. As scary as potential conviction is, I will go to jail for something. I will go to jail for something I didn't do before I plea out. I will never give them that win. I love it. Her pent-up feelings pour out of her with the urgency of a person facing a maximum sentence of life in prison, though she occasionally wisecracks in her tour through the wreckage. I never knew an unopened shredder could make me so sad, she said, pointing out the factory sealed machine, which she'd hoped to use to destroy her reams of legal documents after an acquittal. If I could get the entire truth of this case out in the public forum, that to me is priceless. In the beginning, this says, hey, blast from the past. How's things? That was the Facebook message Reed received from O'Keefe in the spring of 2020. The pandemic was first taking hold, schools were shutting down, and Reed hadn't seen O'Keefe in 16 years. They'd first met at a birthday party for O'Keefe's sister, Kristen, in Boston in 2004. Reed didn't know Kristen. She was just tagging along with a friend from Braintree, where the O'Keefes grew up. She thought O'Keefe was cute. They exchanged numbers and dated for a few months, a fleeting 20-something romance. In the intervening decade and a half, Reed and O'Keefe both experienced harrowing personal traumas. Reed endured 10 surgeries in 18 months to treat and ultimately diagnose Crohn's disease. Less than a year after her last major surgery, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. O'Keefe, meanwhile, lost Kristen to brain cancer in 2013, and shortly after, his brother-in-law, Kristen's husband, from a heart attack. O'Keefe's known simply as JJ to his niece, Kaylee, and nephew, Patrick, became their guardian. Reed thought that surviving these life-altering events helped her forge a deep bond with O'Keefe. She fell for him and the kids. I felt like this is a perfect situation, says Reed. It's a Karen-sized hole in this house that I have the energy and resources to fill. The relationship progressed quickly in the confines of the pandemic. Reed, who could work remotely, rearranged her schedule to be at O'Keefe's house most days, supervising the children's Zoom schooling and making them lunch, while O'Keefe worked at a desk job at in the Sex Offender Registry Information Unit at the A1 station in downtown Boston. That's interesting. As in any relationship, issues bubbled up. O'Keefe resented that Reed got to do the fun parts of parenting while he played disciplinarian, she says. When the kids returned from a trip with their grandparents, Reed recalls that Kaylee and Patrick walked past O'Keefe to hug her first. O'Keefe felt the kids preferred Reed because she spoiled them with go-karts, fancy haircuts, and shopping trips. She thought they could feel her warmth in O'Keefe's stress. He never adequately mourned his sister, according to Reed, and struggled to manage his own grief, plus the children's increasingly complicated needs, emotional and otherwise. O'Keefe saw a therapist with them, and at one point, but when the shrink introduced board games, O'Keefe checked out. I think that's part of his stock. Reed contemplates now the Irish Catholic south of Boston, rub some dirt on it, drink through your problems mindset. Drinking increased for both of them on weekends, which she now regrets, but rationalized at the time as them unwinding after a hard week. Once O'Keefe had a drink or two, that was when he was the most relaxed, says Reed. He would be easygoing, but then it was this vicious cycle that he's hungover the next day. During a New Year's group vacation in Aruba, Reed says O'Keefe and his friends cracked beers at 10 a.m. and drank till sundown or man down, whichever came first. She says she caught O'Keefe kissing another woman. The woman denied it at trial. The same January, Reed engaged in her own flirtation. She exchanged texts with one of O'Keefe's contacts, Brian Higgins, an ATF agent. It was a brief thing and petered out as quickly as it started. I knew Higgins found me attractive, she says. It helped me emotionally validate myself, which is embarrassing to admit. Nowhere to be found. On Friday night, January 28th, 2022, Reed and O'Keefe had been drinking with O'Keefe's buddies at the Waterfall in Canton, the kind of bar where flat screen TVs are perma-tuned to sports and friends trade shots. Canton is a quaint cop town 15 miles southwest of Boston, just past the skirts of suburbs that are untouchable under seven figures, where the state's major highways intersect, making it prime blue-collar community where homes are passed down over generations. It was around midnight, and snow had just begun falling when Brian Albert invited everyone in the group to his house afterward for drinks. The former Marine and 30-year Boston Police Department veteran headed the fugitive apprehension team and appeared on the Donnie Wahlberg-produced reality show Boston Finest, which is why we are not hearing the Wahlberg speaking out on this case, in my opinion. As one of seven siblings raised in town, he seemed to know or be related to everyone. His younger brother, Kevin, is a Canton cop, and another younger brother, Chris, is a town select board member. That night, Reed and O'Keefe were joined by a cluster of the veteran cop's family members, his wife, Nicole, his brother, Chris, Chris's wife, Julie, Nicole's sister, Jennifer McCabe, and McCabe's husband, Matt, plus Higgins and an unrelated couple, Karina and Nicholas Kolakithis. And except for the Kolakithises, folks, I'm going to go ahead and give them a, yeah.
You suck.
Yes, they're terrible. I hope the worst things in life happen to you and nobody else but you. When Reed woke up the next morning, panicked that O'Keefe was not home, she met up with two of his friends, Jennifer McCabe, who was at the Albert home when Reed dropped O'Keefe off, and Carrie Roberts to look for him. At about 6 a.m., the women pulled up to the Albert's house at 34 Fairview, and Reed spotted O'Keefe in the front yard. Hysterical, she jumped out and cleared snow from her boyfriend's bruised and bloodied face and began mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Roberts administered chest compressions, and McCabe called 911. At times, Reed lay on top of O'Keefe, desperately trying to heat his body, which had cooled to 80 degrees. Emergency vehicles raced onto Fairview moments later, their red lights beaming into the dark sky and bouncing off the snow. It was such a spectacle that our neighbors snapped photos. Excuse me. Sorry. Energy drink. Neither Albert nor any of his family members emerged from the house as first responders attempted to save O'Keefe's life. Even in her confusion, Reed clocked this. She wondered whether she had dropped her boyfriend off at the wrong house. And after a night of drinking, O'Keefe entered an aggressive stranger's home. The Alberts say they slept through the noise. The neighbor who snapped photos opines to Vanity Fair that Albert's explanation absolutely doesn't make sense. Reed was so distraught that she was taken to Good Samaritan Hospital for evaluation. EMTs delivered her around 8 a.m., about the same time O'Keefe was pronounced dead of hypothermia and blunt force trauma to the head. The patient is hysterical. She is actively grieving. She states she does not belong in care. She just wants to know what happened to her boyfriend, observed attending physician Jonathan Rice, who noted that Reed had blood on her face and hands. The doctor also noted no psychiatric history and that Reed denied any SIHIAHVH, meaning no suicidal or homicidal ideation and no auditory or visual hallucinations. He also noted that Reed worried continually about her husband because they had 2 adopted kids, and she stated she cannot live without him. When Reed's father, Bill, arrived at the hospital, a nurse briefed him, "Your daughter wants to know whether or not John O'Keefe is dead. We can tell her, you can tell her, or you could tell her with us present." Bill said, "I'll tell her." He was led to Reed's room, where he told his daughter simply, "He's gone." Reed insisted that her father take her to O'Keefe's house to see Kaylee and Patrick. The rest of the O'Keefe family was already there, including his mother, Margaret, who goes by Peg, his father, John Sr., and his brother, Paul. They had also come from the hospital where they identified the officer's body and saw his gruesome condition laid bare under the bright lights. The adults gathered around the kitchen island, and Reed asked the family what O'Keefe looked like. Before I continue this, I've got to point out, folks, that this is easily so far the best article that I've read on this case, because it's covering everything. And it's painting Karen Reed not out to be innocent, but out to be a human being, not out to be just somebody who is somebody to throw mud at and point fingers at and assume her guilt. And that's all I've ever asked for. Personally speaking, that's all I've ever wanted. All I've ever wanted is for an article to simply state the facts and let the readers judge for themselves. This in no way is painting her out to be innocent. This is simply stating the facts, and the facts paint her out to be innocent. But we haven't gotten that far just yet. But they're stating facts on this case. All of these things are verifiable, but they are all things that no other mainstream media outlet has bothered to cover or talk about. He looked like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson, was Paul's response, according to the Reeds. They say Peg made her own assessment. I think he looks like he got hit by a car. Interesting. So right there, Paul tells the Reeds he looks like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson. Then Peg chimes in, John O'Keefe's mother, Paul O'Keefe's mother, says, I think he looks like he got hit by a car. Reed was thunderstruck by the unexpected hostility. Her family realized it was time to leave. Reed and her father went upstairs to quickly pack her medication and several belongings. Then she hugged and kissed Patrick and Kaylee for what would be the last time. A few days later, Reed was court-ordered to refrain from contacting the O'Keefe family. I felt like all of a sudden, this went from being my house to I am persona non grata, she told me. As they left, she told her father, Dad, I don't know what happened, but I feel like Peg thinks I did something. When they got home, Bill Reed searched criminal defense attorneys in Boston. David Yanetti's name came name and picture popped up. Yannetti had spent the first decade of his career as a prosecutor as the Middlesex assistant DA. He put 2 men behind bars for one of the country's most heinous crimes, the 1997 rape and murder of 10-year-old Jeffrey Curley, whose attackers lured him with the promise of a new bicycle. Bill's vetting was more on instinct. A devout Catholic who prays every day and paid his way through college by working as a night guard in Fall River. Bill decided on Yannetti because he looked like an honest man. Now, this is something that I didn't know. And that's something that speaks volumes of someone's character. Someone who is a devout Catholic, prays all the time. Bill Reed, a devout Catholic, prays all the time, but paid his way through college through just being a security guard. Busted his ass. Working a night shift, going to college during the day because he had an American dream. All right, I got a plan. I'm going to go to college. And it's a good job to have. It's just you're not going to get any sleep. But in a job like that, as a nighttime security guard, because I've had this job, you have time to evaluate. You have time to study. You have time to cram. You know, you get things done. You can write papers. You have time. You have nothing but time. Nothing's going on in the middle of the night. It's actually really smart. It's very practical. Yes, work that allows you to study. Absolutely. When they got home, wait, hold on. Bill decided on United because he looked like an honest man. Massachusetts State Police were moving quickly. They seized Reed's car and phone less than 12 hours after O'Keefe was declared dead. Seized her car and phone less than 12 hours after O'Keefe was declared dead. No interviews with anybody at 34 Fairview, no official interviews, nothing documented, nothing recorded. Nobody knocked on 34 Fairview to see if everybody was okay. Incredible. Crime scene. I mean, I could go on and on. Massachusetts State Police were moving quickly. They seized Reed's car and phone less than 12 hours after O'Keefe was declared dead. She knew she was a suspect, but her devastation trumped fear. She was still confused why O'Keefe's body was on Albert's lawn and was shocked he was dead. I'd been with him all week, she told me. We had been intimate the night before, and now he's gone. Yannetti told Reed to prepare for an arrest. So racked by grief and disbelief, she zombie walked through her morning ritual. She showered, did her makeup, blew out her hair, picked out a sweater that would be comfortable in jail, and waited for hours on the overstuffed white couch in her living room where I sat while she recounted this story. 3 days after John O'Keefe's death, she was taken into police custody. An attractive, highly educated finance professional accused of killing her cop boyfriend and leaving his body on another cop's lawn was catnip to Boston media. The morning after her arrest, cameras rolled. She was escorted in handcuffs to her arraignment. She pleaded not guilty to all charges and was released on $50,000 bail. A cousin with a criminal record called her with advice. I've pled to charges where I wasn't even in the state where the crime happened. I wanted to get out of jail. I couldn't post bail, and I didn't have David Yannetti. The cousin warned her that the prosecutors don't always care if they have the right guy as long as they have someone behind bars. That's a good cousin to have. That's a closed file. Well, in theory, that's a closed file for them, he said. Then added, question everything. Great advice. Interesting how that advice did come from somebody who has a lot of run-ins with the law. That makes perfect sense, right? Doesn't mean they're a bad person, but they're like, dude, like There's shit that like I didn't even fucking do it. You know, they just wanted to slap somebody in jail. They didn't give a shit. You know, so they're saying, "Hey, cousin, be careful of that shit." Yannetti received a different kind of call on February 2nd, within hours of Reed's arraignment. A man with a gravelly voice, claiming to have a background in Boston law enforcement, made an explosive claim. He told Yannetti that Brian Albert and his nephew had beaten up O'Keefe on January 29th. When O'Keefe didn't come to, said this mysterious man, Albert and an unnamed federal agent, quote unquote, put O'Keefe's body on the front lawn. When Yannetti called him back for a more thorough interview, he backtracked, saying he was only speculating based on photos of O'Keefe in the news, and he ultimately recanted the tip altogether. But Yannetti points out the photos of O'Keefe hadn't been released at the time of the first call, and other details from the tip lined up. Higgins, the ATF agent, had been drinking at the Albert home that morning, as had Albert's nephew Colin. Until the tipster's call, Reed and Yannetti hadn't known that Colin was in the house, as he later testified he was because his name was not in police reports. In February, a funeral was held. I love that too. Now, this is the first time that we're seeing a news article explain that Colin was absolutely in that house. This news article isn't fucking around, and I love it. I love it. Again, they're not necessarily painting Karen Reed out to be innocent. They're simply stating the facts, and the facts inevitably force you to ask questions. That is just how it is. When you state all of the facts, like this writer is doing, it forces you to ask questions. There's no other way. Common sense dictates this. Curiosity dictates this. Critical thinking dictates this. So it's very, very interesting that they're covering all of this, and I'm already aware of the case, but I'm looking for it, and I'm looking for, okay, why? You know, because it even comes off like she just slipped that in there about Colin being in the house, right? That's not true, because what she does is she confirms through just really good writing here. She confirms that during trial, Colin Albert admits to being in the house. So Colin was absolutely in the house, and this writer is pointing this out. This is something that can't be debated. In February, a funeral was held for O'Keefe in Braintree. Dozens of Boston police officers saluted O'Keefe's casket as it was carried into St. Francis of Assisi Church. Bagpipes skirled a solemn hymn as a giant American flag waved in the wind. Reed was not there, in part because of the stay-away order, but views the pomp as performative. The whole Irish cop departed bagpipe thing, says Reed, trailing off. There's nothing holy about this, she says. I think it's the biggest farce, maybe only second to my trial, that the people who were there in the cold outside the church were nowhere to be found in terms of actually delivering justice to John O'Keefe. Now, that is Karen Reed's perspective on that. This is something I've never heard, but I love hearing it. I love hearing Karen Reed's perspective on how she feels about where in the fuck are those Boston cops now? Where are all those Boston cops during this production that she puts it as, going on outside of this church, this bagpipe departed movie production going on, and then not one fucking Boston cop to speak on his behalf and fight for justice for him. Not even one to show up to make sure that she's convicted, sitting with the O'Keefes. No Boston police presence in the Karen Reed trial. It's interesting, isn't it? Because she's not saying there's no cops there to support me. She's saying there's no police presence. Where are these guys? She's not saying she's not criticizing them for not being there to support her. She's criticizing them for not being there to support him, no matter who you think did it. There weren't many cars in the driveway, and Reed felt uneasy. McCabe had conveyed the invitation, so Reed wasn't sure how welcome the couple actually were. O'Keefe said he'd check out the scene and report back, but minutes passed without a word. I got pissed, Reed tells me now. A breakup when kids are involved is a high-stakes decision. In January 2022, despite the troubles, neither O'Keefe nor Reed were willing to give up on the family dynamic that had forged with Kaylee and Patrick. That faithful night, they still loved each other. They cuddled at the waterfall, as security footage shows, and witnesses described them as affectionate. Albert invited the group back to his house to celebrate his son's 23rd birthday. Now, I just want to go back to this right here. This is them looking quite affectionate. Beyond a bar run in the week before O'Keefe died, he'd never really socialized with Albert, even though both were BPD, living in Canton, and had McCabe in common. Albert had an alluring reputation. He helped unmask the Boston Strangler in 2013 and capture the Craigslist killer before that. The night he died, O'Keefe was eager to join up for a nightcap. When he and Reed arrived at 34 Fairview, though he wondered whether they were at the right address, there weren't many cars in the driveway, and Reed felt uneasy. McCabe had conveyed the invitation, so Reed wasn't sure how welcome the couple were. O'Keefe said he'd check out the scene and report back, but minutes passed without a word. I got pissed, Reed tells me now. She knew that a woman O'Keefe used to hook up with lived a few houses down the street. He's got to be screwing around, she thought. I didn't think he was physically incapacitated. After about 10 minutes of waiting, Reed drove to O'Keefe's house to be with Kaylee, who was home alone. To Reed, it felt like Aruba all over again. So recent. She sent O'Keefe a barrage of angry voicemails and texts. John, I'm going home. You are fucking using me right now. You're fucking another girl. Kaylee is sleeping next to me. John, I fucking hate you. 4 months after Reed was charged, Massachusetts State Police were back at Reed's house to arrest her again, this time for second-degree murder. She and Yannetti were stunned. She didn't know a rearrest was possible, and her lawyer hadn't been given a heads up. Defendants can be upcharged when significant new evidence is discovered, but Reed and Yannetti considered the additional evidence cited to be a stretch. In an interview, Patrick had claimed O'Keefe and Reed argued a decent amount of time, and Kaylee recalled O'Keefe telling Reed their relationship was over, with Reed refusing to leave the house. The Commonwealth also cited Reed's estimated blood alcohol level based on a sample taken at the hospital. The second arrest was Yannetti and Reed's first clue that something was, as they say, amiss. It was so dirty and underhanded that they would go behind my back, Yannetti tells me by phone. The DA requested Reed's bail to be at $500,000. I believe it was to scare me and get some kind of plea deal going. Reed says of the second arrest, do 2 years on a lesser manslaughter charge and you'll be free, which we were never going to consider. At Reed's second arraignment, Yannetti argued that his client had reason not to flee. Her Crohn's and multiple sclerosis treatments were in Boston. Canoni set Reed's bail at a comprehensively low $100,000. The day after I'm upcharged, David's like, listen, I know this is the worst time to have this conversation, but my fees double for murder, says Reed. The fees weren't as frightening as the legal shock, though. At that point, says Reed, David and I realized this is fucking dirty. This is not you. This is not you said something that was taken the wrong way at the scene and they got the wrong guy. This is intentional. They are framing me. By September 2022, Reed and Yannetti were running into repeated roadblocks trying to get basic evidence from the Commonwealth. They hoped to get Google geofence data, which would identify every cell phone on the Alberts property on January 29th. Desperate for guidance, Reed emailed Alan Jackson, an LA-based lawyer who used cell phone data to get a 2019 groping case against Kevin Spacey dropped. Jackson had worked the other side too. As an LA County prosecutor, he put Phil Spector behind bars for the 2003 murder of Lana Clarkson. Since then, he built a reputation as one of California's top and most expensive trial lawyers, representing a Venice Beach hotel owner charged with murder, an NBA player facing domestic assault charges, and a 22-year-old Bakersfield man who stabbed his brother in self-defense. He managed to avoid jail time for all of them. This is the guy you want on your team when you're being framed for murder. This guy gets shit done. So I gotta tell you guys, when I met Alan Jackson, I was extremely impressed. I was just extremely impressed with the guy, and I wanted to ask him. It just didn't feel right, but I did want to ask him. I wanted to be like, dude, like, just between you and me, Spacey's a shitbag, right? Like, he's a piece of shit, right? I wanted to do that so bad, but I was like, nah, it doesn't feel right. It's not the right tone. It's not the right tone right now. But I wanted to ask him so bad, like, dude, because I'm a big Kevin Spacey fan, but I was like, yeah, this dude's a fucking creep, dude. This dude's a fucking creep. I want to know what Jackson says. And I didn't think that he would answer me either. And then when I saw when I had that interaction with Kevin Reddington, then I'm just like, fuck, I should have asked him. This Reddington didn't give a fuck. Reddington was like, yeah, this fucking psycho back there that fucking chopped up his fucking wife, put her in a river, put her in a pond. That's like, Jesus, dude. This is the most bizarre fucking experience of my life, dude. Most bizarre experience of my life. Jackson gets more than 100 representation requests monthly, but the subject line of Reed's email stood out: murder of a Boston cop. He clicked on it and read her plea: I am fighting for my life against a blue wall and therefore marshaling whatever resources, advice I can find. On a call with Reed, Jackson agreed to share his cell phone data, related motions, and asked to hear more about her case. After learning that she was being accused of fatally hitting O'Keefe with her SUV, the lawyer asked to see photos of O'Keefe's injuries. Reed immediately sent over a few, revealing O'Keefe's bruised and swollen eyes and the cuts above his right eye and nose. But it was O'Keefe's right arm which looked like it had been clawed and caused Jackson to explain, that's an animal attack. Jackson later said by phone, if there's any medical examiner or DA or lead investigator out there claiming that's from a car, that's bullshit. And if that's not true, what else isn't true? Nice. I love that shit, because that's the thing right there is, as soon as the injuries, that's, if you ask a handful of people, at least a handful of people, what was the very first thing that you noticed about this case that made you go, okay, and start asking real questions? And Melanie Little being one of them. The answer is the injuries. The injuries don't add up. The injuries don't make sense. And I have to agree with that. The injuries just simply don't fucking make sense. There's that. I mean, when I was asked that, it was hard for me to answer. I was like, fuck, you know? I mean, there's so much. There was so much. The 911 call, yes, Cherry. The 911 call was a lot. I mean, the conflicting statements between grand jury testimony and the statements given in police reports. Everything was inconsistent. Everything was inconsistent. The police theory of what happened that night is evident in the charges, but what Reed and her defense team believe happened involves a fatal fusion of alcohol, testosterone, and bad luck. They allege that O'Keefe encountered some combination of Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and Colin Albert in the basement, and a fight turned dangerously violent. According to O'Keefe's Apple Health data, after 12:20 a.m., about the time when Reed dropped off the police officer off, he took 80 steps, the equivalent of half a football field, and one up or down 3 floors. Witnesses inside the Albert home that night deny O'Keefe ever even went inside. The defense's theory holds that O'Keefe's body was moved to the yard. Reed's defense offers several possible catalysts for a disagreement, such as Higgins' flirtation with Reed. Higgins, who testified he did not encounter O'Keefe after the bar, did not respond to Vanity Fair's questions. Another is O'Keefe's allegedly antagonistic relationship with Colin Albert, who lived 2 doors down from him. According to Reed, the teenager regularly dumped beer bottles and cans on the lawn. Colin testified that there was no animosity with O'Keefe and that he left the Albert home around midnight before O'Keefe was dropped off. He did not respond to Vanity Fair's questions. Or there's the idea that Brian Albert might have simply been irritated by the likes of O'Keefe. I just said Keefe like JLR, who was given special accommodations by the BPD after his sister's death, like a desk job with flexible hours. I could see how someone could look at John and say, I'm a real cop. I'm the head of the fugitive unit. I've been on the drug unit, the gang unit. Reed imagines to me. Albert's spokesperson, Greg Henning, denies the idea that there was ever beef, quote unquote, or any physical altercation. He adds that Albert attended a fundraiser in support of Kristen. He also noted that Albert attended O'Keefe's wake to grieve with the family. In any of these scenarios, the defense believes that Albert's German Shepherd, Chloe, was a factor. She was being kept in the basement part of that night because she was not great with strangers, Albert admitted to the court. She was not great with other dogs either. A Canton resident told Vanity Fair that in 2008, she was walking her golden doodle past the Albert yard when Chloe attacked her dog so aggressively that she was not able to stop the German Shepherd until someone emerged from the Albert home and called Chloe's name. The owner took her dog covered in blood to the veterinarian, who told her that Chloe needed to be reported to animal control. Based on the severity and the location of the bite, the vet said it looked as though Chloe wanted to kill the dog. But when the woman called Canton police, she was told that animal control was out and that police could not tell her when the animal control officer would be back. After she left her information with Canton police, she says that Kevin Albert, Brian's brother and a Canton cop, contacted the woman's husband with a message from the police chief. How can we make this thing go away? Neither Kevin nor Canton police responded to Vanity Fair's questions. The woman became so nervous walking past the Albert house afterward that she started to carry pepper spray. About 3 months after O'Keefe's death, Chloe attacked another dog and bit a woman who tried to intervene. That woman confirmed to Vanity Fair. Another woman was injured while trying to help. The Alberts subsequently rehomed their dog of 7 years. And there's John O'Keefe's injuries to his arm, which are clearly fucking dog bites and scratches, dude. Clearly bites from a dog. Let's get real, people. Now, hold on. Let me give me 1 second here, folks. 1 second. Thanks for waiting, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry about that. Yeah, rehomed. I love it. It's so amazing. And I missed this one. Fairy Raven, member for 14 months. Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this, Will. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. That was not the only major change for the Albert family. In 2023, Brian Albert retired from law enforcement due to a shoulder injury incurred on the job, says Henning, and his maximum pension had been reached. The same year, the Alberts also sold the home on Fairview that had been in their family for decades. Henning denies that either decision was related to the case. Now, I don't know if they get into it, but it should be noted. I don't know if she brings it up later, but it should be noted that the home was also sold for $50,000 under market value. So that's interesting, right? Robin G gifted 5 memberships. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, this is great because nobody talks about the fucking Alberts, dude. Nobody talks about the McAlberts in their articles. In their news coverage, nobody fucking talks about the McAlberts, and this is fan-fucking-tastic. Henning denies that either decision, Henning being the spokesperson for Brian Albert, was related to the case. He says that the family considered selling in 2021 before O'Keefe's death, but eventually did so because the Albert children had grown up and moved out. When the new owners moved in, flooring had been removed from the basement, where Reed's defense team claims the fatal altercation with O'Keefe took place. But Henning said that was a modification that a real estate agent suggested following 2021 water damage, among other updates, because that's just convenient, right? That's convenient. Great timing. I believe whatever happened to John was a setup to teach him a lesson or tune him up, and it got out of control. No one would choose to kill someone in their own home and then set it up so sloppily, Reed tells me. I love that. Because so far, I mean, I know this seems like I'm tooting my own horn here, but so far, it sounds a lot like I feel really validated because I've never spoken to Karen Reed about her theories on the case or anything like that. I've never really seen it. But it is almost in line with everything that I believe as far as this case goes. She seems to share the same opinions on what's happening to her as I do, which I think is fucking awesome. And it's basically just kind of confirms that common sense just dictates it. You look at all of the facts and it just makes sense, you know? But Karen is saying that it basically came off kind of like a hazing almost. Like they went too far. Like Colin wanted to, Colin and Chris and Brian wanted to teach him a lesson about being a fucking Karen, and bitching about people walking on his lawn. And Brian Higgins wanted to fit in with these idiots and decided to bring up his beef because he was texting with Karen. And so they all decided to fucking jump him. And it went too far. Now, Brian Higgins is the only one who seems to have something really, really personal, something that would motivate murder. Brian Higgins, and I stand by that. Brian Higgins seems to be the only person who has the motivation to actually murder. Now, on the other hand, I don't think Brian Higgins has the balls I think that Brian Higgins was peacocking, as Microdots put it in his video, in that waterfall footage video that we see him acted all brave and going, come on, come on, come on. I think that all he was doing was showing out for the Alberts, for the McAlberts. I think that's all he was doing, was just showing out drunk, trying to impress Brian Albert. And then when shit got real, it was like, all right, well, you didn't fucking do nothing. I'm just speculating. I don't know what happened in that house. But based on what I observe, what makes the most sense to me is, and based on the anonymous tip that took place, Colin, Brian, and Colin and Brian most likely perpetrated this crime, and then Higgins had to be the garbage man and do the legwork of the cover up. And so because again, I don't think that he doesn't have the balls, man. I just don't see it. I don't see him being the guy who had a genuine beef with Paul O'Keefe. He just wanted to fit into the situation. There was some shit talking taking place. He chimed in probably and told them about what was going on, and then decided to get, show out and put his chest out and say, I'll be the one to take on this fucking asshole, blah, blah, blah. And then got the loudest, became the loudest one out of everybody. Because if this murder was premeditated, which I don't really think it was, but let's say it was, the people who are actually responsible for the crime are going to be the most quiet. They're going to be the most, like I said, if it was premeditated. A cop or a former cop, family members of the former cop, they're going to be quiet. They're not going to be loud. They're not going to be peacocking. So but that is where her willingness to make sense of everything ends. I hold the district attorney who passed the bar and went to law school to a higher standard. The power that a district attorney has in any given country is staggering. It's scary, she said. He can bring all of the resources of the state to try to get a pound of flesh, which I believe is what he's doing. Reed spent her first months after O'Keefe's death mourning him, reminiscing and trying to distract herself from her predicament. She wallpapered the house, cooked with her mother and cooked with her mother and read Alexander Dumas' classic, Alexandre Dumas. The Count of Monte Cristo, in which the protagonist is framed and arrested but ultimately escapes and avenges himself, has been an inspiration. Reed was still so confounded by O'Keefe's death that she was open to the idea that she could have accidentally hit him. I told my parents if I did anything in any way, I'll pay my dues. She says now that's how it should work. I want to know the truth. Good, bad, ugly. She hired a private investigator and even sought out materials that could prove she was guilty, like security footage from the Albert home. But Albert said he never installed the camera his wife gave him, nor was there security footage from homes on the street. Conveniently enough, the homeowner across from the Alberts, who works for Canton Police, told Reed's private investigator that his camera did not pick anything up from 34 Fairview. Security footage from the library that Reed drove by between 12:37 and 12:39 a.m. should have shown whether her taillight was smashed, but that precise 2-minute frame of the video was missing when the Commonwealth turned it over to Reed's team. The Commonwealth says they turned over the entirety of the video that the Canton police, that the Canton PD gave them. Reed told me about a rumor that there are texts between her and her lawyer in which she implicates herself. Texts that police supposedly read when they confiscated her phone, but they will never be released because they're privileged. Proctor, the state trooper himself, referenced an exchange on the stand saying that he stopped looking through her phone when he saw messages between Reed and an attorney. But Reed and Yannetti each point out that they didn't communicate until after Massachusetts State Police had seized her phone and car. I didn't even have a cell number for David until several hours after Proctor left with my phone, Reed says. I never texted him on January 29th. Proctor testifying on the witness stand that he saw text between David and me is a provable lie. Reed had poured over tens of thousands of pages of legal filings and police reports. She has played the waterfall security footage on repeat. She has scanned every text, screenshot, and Google search on O'Keefe's phone for buried clues. Initially, it was difficult to look at O'Keefe's autopsy photos and torture to imagine, what did he feel? Did he know he was freezing? Was he waiting for me to come back? She has scoured social media, going down rabbit holes of Facebook posts featuring Proctor and various Albert family members, even a post where Proctor's mom called Chris and Colin Albert her second family. When the trial began in April, meanwhile, hold on. Now, before I get into this, I'd be remiss if I did not point out something here. There is clearly what seems to be an active avoidance of mentioning Turtle Boy, or at least Turtle Boy and his and the discoveries that he's made through his own investigations. Maybe they're just keeping that out. Maybe they'll mention Turtle Boy later. I don't know. But right now they're just kind of explaining. And Jennifer D, thank you so much. Isn't it interesting that Jennifer McCabe said Karen Reed said, I hit him 3 times. I hit him. Brian Albert, I hit him. Brian Higgins, I hit him. Chris Albert. Right. Yeah, it's always the same people. Right. No, and I agree, Myers. It's a great article. That's what's really, truly important. Because mostly why I criticize mainstream media for not crediting Turtle Boy is because they're not sharing all of the information. Turtle Boy has discovered tons of exculpatory evidence on Karen Reed's behalf. Tons of it. But the thing is my concern is the exculpatory evidence being put out there in news articles, being featured in articles where people can really assess this case properly, at least as much as a news article can fit into it, you know. And even though there's a lot going on, you know, and there's a lot to fit in, but there's, you know, that's between Turtle Boy and Vanity Fair. What I truly care about is the facts of the case that I know Turtle Boy is responsible for uncovering through his investigations. Now, should they credit him? Yes, I believe they should. But I'm mostly just happy that they're finally sharing the information. I'm mostly happy that we finally have somebody talking about the McAlberts and pointing out all of the facts of this case and allowing the reader to ask questions, giving the reader enough information to where the reader will find it inevitable. They have to ask questions. Turtle Boy brought Karen Reed's investigations to the public. Don't get me wrong. He did a lot of uncovering himself, but Karen was the ultimate investigator in her case. Good point, Olivia. Absolutely. Good point. That's absolutely true. Because make no mistake, as much as I'm saying positive things about Turtle Boy, which are all valid, 100% valid, as much as I'm saying all these positive things about Turtle Boy, it cannot be overlooked. Just like I stated yesterday, that Karen Reed is 100% invested and involved in her own defense. I watched her sit there and break bread. I broke bread with her and her defense team during lunch. Didn't really, I just kind of observed without being a weirdo, but just observed and saw Valhalla Law. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just not reading this in terms of a timeline that the writer is setting up. You're probably right. But I know that Karen Reed is incredibly invested in her own defense. Incredibly invested in her own defense. I watched her brainstorm with her defense team. She's aware of everything. She's always taking notes when somebody was testifying. Somebody during direct examination would be sitting there testifying, and she would be writing notes, and then she would be, showing her notes, calling out the lies. She was 100% invested. So yes, I have no doubt that her and her defense team did their own investigating and getting to the truth as to what is suspicious and what is beneficial to her exculpatory defense, her third party culprit defense. When the trial began in April, meanwhile, Adam Lally, a prosecutor who has worked for the Norfolk County DA's office since 2010, assured the court that Proctor had no conflicts. These are not people that know each other, Lally said. The prosecution produced 68 witnesses, at least 9 of whom were related to Albert by blood or marriage. Reed had 6, including a snowplow driver employed by Canton. Lally did not respond to Vanity Fair's questions. Why wouldn't he? Leading up to the trial, Reed's team struggled to get basic discovery items like crime scene photos. Even that was a fight, says Elizabeth Little, another California lawyer on Reed's team. We did numerous discovery requests, filed a motion to compel. We were given JPEG copies of photographs, JPEG copies of photographs of zero metadata that were blurry and useless. After 7 months of litigation, it comes out that they don't have the original photos. They came from a phone. The phone doesn't exist anymore. Initially, you think it's just incompetence. The more we dug, the more we realized that the stuff we were looking for was never gathered in the first place or was being intentionally withheld. It became hard to believe it was all an accident or a mistake. Proctor seemed problematically conflicted from the outset. The investigator appeared in social media photos with various Alberts and McCabe's dating back to 2012. Though Proctor seized Reed's car and phone the day of O'Keefe's death, he did not interview Colin for another year and 6 months. Then the interview went unrecorded. Proctor's sister Courtney is such good friends with Albert's sister-in-law Julie that they shared 67 phone calls in the 7 months after Reed's first arrest. I am loving this fucking article. At trial, Julie said she couldn't remember how many phone calls. On the day of Reed's first arrest, Courtney texted Proctor that an Albert family member said, "When this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift." Proctor asked that she get his wife a thank you gift instead. Forget about the allegations of the victim being killed inside the house, says Doug Lewison, a Boston defense attorney who has represented law enforcement for 4 decades, but who is not working on the Reed case. He, like many legal analysts, believes Reed should never have been tried for second degree murder. As soon as these people who Proctor was acquitted with were identified as witnesses, he should have dropped out of the case. it was a system failure by the state police. Instead, Proctor declared Reed guilty via text the day he started the investigation. After 6 months later, while the probe was underway, Proctor and Albert's brother Kevin, the Canton cop, went out drinking. The next day, Proctor texted Kevin and he left his badge in Proctor's cruiser. Kevin responded, "Did I take my gun?" On the morning of January 29th, when McCabe's 911 call about O'Keefe being found on Albert's lawn came in, it was Kevin's Canton Police Department co-workers who responded. One called two off-duty officers to report to the scene, including Sergeant Michael Lank. Off-duty, people. He was known Sergeant Michael Lank, who has known the Albert brothers since childhood. In 2002, while Lank was off duty and drinking, he ran into Chris Albert, Mr. Sensitive Rubber Ducky Man, who told him that he'd been harassed by a pair of brothers. Lank got into a fist fight, summoned police backup, punched one alleged assailant in the face, and was accused of spitting in the face of another while he was handcuffed. Lank settled a federal case, but testified that he would have come to a similar defense for a civilian. Before police stepped into the Albert home the morning of O'Keefe's death, they sent McCabe inside to wake up its residents. Okay? Before police stepped into the Albert home the morning of John O'Keefe's death, they sent Jennifer McCabe inside to wake up its residents. Hey, could you go in there, possible witness, likely witness in this case, and knock on the door and talk to those other witnesses unsupervised, please, and wake them up and have them come out. Because that makes sense when there's a dead cop on the lawn, right? Then they interviewed McCabe and the Alberts together for about 10 minutes together without recording the conversation or searching the house. Canton Police Lieutenant Paul Gallagher testified that they only interviewed McCabe and did not separate her from the Alberts when doing so. The officer said they had no reason to believe O'Keefe had ever been inside. McCabe did not respond to Vanity Fair's questions. I wonder why. The Commonwealth's key physical evidence against Reed has been her right taillight. No piece of Reed's car was found during a daylight search on January 29th, after snow had been cleared from the yard with a leaf blower. Reed, her family, and a Dighton police officer who witnessed Proctor seizing the car hours later say that Reed's taillight was only cracked at that point. Dighton police officer. They point out this Dighton police officer who testified. I love this. Damage, Reed says, was inflicted when she backed out of O'Keefe's garage to search for him and bumped into his SUV, which was caught on O'Keefe's security camera, despite Proctor's affidavit declaring he picked up Reed's car at 5:30 p.m. Dighton police and Reed's security cameras show that he took the car at 4:12 p.m., a time to which the Commonwealth conceded a year and a half later. Wow. Reed thinks this discrepancy was to make it seem as though her car was not in police custody when pieces of her taillight were found. After her Lexus was in law enforcement custody, Reed believes her taillight was completely smashed. It wasn't until Proctor greenlit a state emergency response team search after 5:30 p.m. in the dark when pieces of the taillight were found in the Albert yard. 1 week later, after multiple searches by law enforcement, former Canton Police Chief Ken Berkowitz reported spotting more taillight pieces in the yard from his mowing vehicle during a random drive-by. Oh, Berkey. Reed says that she has always considered the taillight to be the cornerstone of the whole case. And Sean on the Gulf has always believed this as well. It's the only concrete evidence that connects me to the crime scene, she says. No evidence was found until they had the evidence. The taillight was not the only discrepancy that came up to trial. The snowplow driver, a witness for Reed's defense, was adamant, that would be Lucky Loughran, that he saw no body when he drove by at 2:45 a.m. His truck was a high vantage point and bright lights, he noted, and he constantly scanned his periphery for obstacles. Periphery that, according to Plevin, does not exist. That's not how tail lights work. Tail lights only go straight ahead. They don't beam out, because that's not how tail lights work, according to Plevin. Or not tail lights, headlights. That's not how headlights work. Excuse me. According to Plevin, it's not how headlights work. They don't beam out. There's no peripheral in headlights. You idiots who think that headlights are designed to actually pick up things in your peripheral vision. When he passes the house a second time about 3:15 a.m., he saw a Ford Edge, the same model car Albert drives, parked in front. This was unusual, he said, because the Albert family normally does not park on the street, and it is standard protocol for him to call in a vehicle on the side of the road. During cross-examination, the prosecution presented a different timeline, calling into question the driver's account. As a courtesy to the Alberts, whom he has known for decades, he didn't call it in. Wow. And just a little bit about Julie Miller here. Julie Miller is a Hollywood correspondent who has been at Vanity Fair for 11 years. She covers film, television, and celebrity. Despite her title, she lives on the East Coast. You could follow her on Twitter. So that's the end of part one. Tomorrow, part two will come out, and I will go over that probably at the same time I did today. So I'll go over it first thing tomorrow morning. But I'm not going to be done with you guys just yet. I'm not going to be done with you guys just yet. Just give me 1 second here. Before I share my thoughts, I'm going to let you guys call in. But I have the impression that Julie Miller, now I think that's interesting, because if you look at it so far, the most accurate articles that have been written about this case have been written by borderline tabloid, right? Vanity Fair, Julie Miller, who specializes in celebrity and television and movie news, is talking about this crime case, right? She'll probably write a book. And good for her if she does. Excuse me. She'll probably write a book. Now, yeah, this was great. Her and TMZ are the only two. Her and TMZ.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, how you doing? This is Sage from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
What's up, Sage from Virginia Beach, Virginia? How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've just gotten so deep into this, man. Like, I just don't understand simple things. Like, why don't they bring up the pool that was filled in?
Oh, well, you got to understand, this is only part one of the article.
Okay.
It's only half of the article. So
So
the
let
other
me
half
ask you
comes out
this.
tomorrow.
Do you think Josh Levy knows everything?
Oh,
And then I'll just say
100%. I think
100.
I think he knows vastly more than we know.
So why would they let this continue?
That's a good question. My theory on that is that they probably have an understanding with Karen and her defense team and they're assuring her that there's no way that they'll ever allow her to actually be convicted, much less serve any jail time over this. I would assume so. I'm just speculating here. I don't know. And what they're doing is building a case, because I think that what they're doing right now is they're investigating Michael Morrissey, but they're also investigating anybody who could be implicated in Michael Morrissey's corruption and actions. And that would include anybody who is engaging in this farce of a prosecution. So when they hold a trial that shouldn't even be held, the people involved in conducting this trial are going to be they're going to be subject to implication, I would assume, and possibly prosecution.
So you bringing up Michael Morrissey ends my last question. How generational do you think this goes back?
Oh my God, I don't even know. That's something you'd have to ask a local. But they say I've a couple of locals have been in my chat and they've called in and they say it goes back a long way.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it goes all the way up to Maura Healey at least.
Right.
That's what they.
Hey, man, you do a great job. You do a great job being yourself. I appreciate the call, man, and you just keep on being you, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good one, buddy. Oh, this is probably a troll.
Call from
Michael.
You're on, Michael. How we doing, buddy?
Hey, Will. Thanks for taking my call. Before I begin making any related comments, I want to tell you, Sean and the Golf, and a few others, I think you're true American heroes.
True American heroes. Wow.
Full sincerity.
Okay.
I say that you people are awesome. Yeah, I think this whole Vanity Fair article, I mean, Proctor's clearly lying. There's no two ways about it. Proctor is lying.
For sure.
And when I saw that figure, I knew Karen Reed's defense. I shouldn't say I knew. I figured Karen Reed's defense was heavily costly, but I had no idea that it was to that extent where she's minus $5 million. I mean, I think that's just.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. And I don't have it pinned to the comments. I just want to tell the chat in the description. I do have both Karen Reed's and Turtle Boy's Defense Fund links, so you can donate, guys, to them. All you got to do is go into the description. The links are there. So
okay, I'll do it. Thank you. And Will, I don't want to hold up the line. I'm sure a lot of people want to give him. I just want to again applaud your efforts and your sincerity. I think you and, like I say, a few others are just doing an amazing job, and hopefully at some point this corruption is going to be uncovered and rooted out.
I agree. I know it will. I have all the faith in the world that it will.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. You too. Thanks a lot, Michael.
You're welcome. Bye.
That was not a troll. How about that? Right on.
call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Will. This is Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Suzanne?
I'm wonderful. I'm so glad. I won't keep you long, but I'm so glad I got to call in and talk with you live. I have to be after the fact. I missed a lot of your live shows.
All right, time's up, Suzanne. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, I actually love how you live with the GLAMOR acronym. I'm sober from alcohol, and that's like totally how I try and live my life too. But I do partake in the 420, and you make me laugh my butt off.
Well, right on, man. That's what it's all about. I love it. I love it.
I didn't make it to the Halloween party, unfortunately. I know you weren't there either, but I also heard you went to Boston, so that's amazing. Everyone loves you. I love you. I love listening to you. And you know what? One thing that comes to mind to me, and I know it's like out of the blue, is the picture of the families from Faneuil Hall in Boston, like partying together. Wasn't that right after there was an indictment?
I don't know.
The McAlberts were out. partying, and there was a photo taken of them, and I think it was shown by Alan Jackson in the trial. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, that I'm hazy on that myself. I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
for sure, but
That's okay. But yes, justice for Karen, justice for Turtle Boy, rest in peace, Enrique Delgado Garcia, justice for him, Sandra Birchmore. I love what you do. So
thanks,
you. Will.
Oh, thanks for listening, and thanks for calling. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
All
Take
right.
care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Will. This is Linda
Hi,
from
Linda.
Maryland.
Hi, Linda from Maryland.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Good. I'm really well. I just wanted to make a comment. All along, from the beginning, and I watched the trial from beginning to end a couple of times, and then I also followed, different commentary on it. I mean, I was really involved in it as well, like so many of us. And one thing that I said, and this was early on, I said, this case is much bigger than Karen Reed. And then what you just said a few moments ago about the FBI, they are investigating, Morrissey.
Right.
And it goes beyond Morrissey, I even think, even higher
has
than
to.
him.
It has to. The thing is if you're going to investigate Morrissey, right? If you're going to investigate Morrissey, you have to investigate you have to investigate all of his cases. If you're investigating him for false prosecution, things of that nature, you have to investigate every case that he's been in charge of. That's going to take a lot of time. So we have to try to reach deep down in ourselves to try to be patient with Mr. Josh Levy and let him do his job and let him do it thoroughly. I would rather him do a good job than a quick job.
Absolutely. And the other thing I believe, when this is all over with, Karen is going to own that town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And absolutely. I mean, what she has been through, and, anyone that criticizes her, it's just beyond me. I could not imagine going through what she has been through. What a strong individual she is. And the other thing I wanted to say, of course, I feel very sorry for John O'Keefe. My heart breaks for him to think about what he went through. But if I were his brother, if that was my brother, and this had been going on from the beginning, and I cared and loved my brother, which I do. I lost my brother.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, but it's been a while. But I would have went down to Levy's office, and I would have said to him, what is going on? I would want to know every detail.
Sure.
I don't understand that.
Again, I could tell you, information leaks, and when you're conducting such a complex investigation where there are so many people who could possibly be indicted, and we're talking about a conspiracy here, make no mistake, you want to keep things close to the vest. You don't want to give away.
Yes.
You don't want to show all your cards, and you don't want to leak it.
Oh, no.
And that includes people like Karen Reed, who's the victim here, and her family. So you want to keep things close to the vest. So I wouldn't blame Josh Levy for keeping things.
It's not a blame. No, it's not a blame. I'm just saying, if it were me, that I would want answers, and I know that he cannot would be able to tell him everything, but he could say in a way like, we're investigating this, and give you like a sign, like, well, maybe Karen didn't do it, maybe, to back up and think a little bit, have an open mind, because all the evidence in the trial, everything, the ARCA guys, the experts, the dog bites, I mean, I would start thinking, I would start, something's not right here.
Right. Yeah. And again, that's what that does is that just gets the ball rolling in an investigation. So who knows where their investigation's at right now? But we're talking 3,000 pages that already proved Karen Reed to be innocent. Have were already made available before the first trial even started. So who knows where they're even at now?
Yeah, but that's why I would, I wouldn't just say, oh, she did it. I know she did it, because they were arguing and, oh, well, we knew it right away. I mean, it's just, I just don't understand it. But, more will be revealed. But anyway, I won't keep you because I know there's other people calling in. And it was great talking with you. And I watch you all the time. You're great.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you calling. That's amazing. And thanks for
Take
listening.
care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Call from
Will.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
How you doing there? This is Will.
Hi, Will. This is Will.
That's funny. So let's go back. Are we talking about the Karen Reed case, or
No.
are we talking about?
No, we're talking about the Zodiac.
The whole state of Massachusetts.
I'm just fucking with you, Will.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, come on. Like, somebody in Tennessee falls in the water at the, and they find them floating. Come on. There's like so many corruptions in Massachusetts. Like, I don't know if people have discernment in their life, but I do. So I see straight through the bullshit. Like, how many Massachusetts State Police have they either, what is it called? Chloe got rehomed. I mean, how do they even have a case? How do they even have a case when there is no tape around?
Right.
The death of a victim, you cannot, whatever you find after that is insubmissible in court. Like,
agreed.
Yeah,
the fact that the crime scene,
I can't go past that.
The crime scene not being preserved right there should have been enough for the judge to be like, okay, well, I mean, how are you supposed to prove this case?
They closed the crime scene.
Should have never went to trial in the first place. They never even should have. It never even should have gotten past the grand jury. But as they
that goes to show you.
But as they say, the grand jury, will indict a ham sandwich. So,
look, all I'm saying is we're going too far. We're going too far. Let's stay in the night of the incident. The dude had doors that opened up.
No.
The dude had doors that opened up out of the basement where they pulled him out and they dragged him and they put him on the side. It's simple math. 1 + 1's 2, Will.
Right. No.
Coming from another Will.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, that we're already past the trial. There's no point in worrying about that now.
We're not.
We just have to wait until what happens with the next trial. Hopefully, the next trial doesn't even fucking happen. But
well, if the FBI guy, what's his name?
Levy.
Well,
he's years attorney.
Steps up. If Levy's, well, you know what? The FBI needs to take over the state of Massachusetts. Bottom line, then, if Levy doesn't step up and do the right thing, the FBI needs to take over the whole state of Massachusetts. Sorry.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, man. Appreciate you. All right. Well, have a good one, buddy. Jesus. You're on. Who am I speaking? Yeah, you're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Tell me about it.
Christ.
I've been calling for over 14 days.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
Jeez. Since yesterday. And then I had to endure a midnight show. And this is amazing. And then yesterday, there were 15 people calling back and forth. And nobody gave me a chance. And every time that you pick up the phone, then you hung up. And I'm going, okay, is he doing this on purpose? Is he trying to like avoid that I just tell him what I feel? Do you want me to tell you what I feel?
What do you think, that I'm screening my calls?
Something, but anyhow. So,
Okay.
can I make a comment about something?
Please, Karen. I mean, Josie, go ahead.
I'm gonna hang up. I can't. I mean, it's taking me 144 days to get through.
Well, how
Anyhow,
about you don't make
first
it
of all, I want to say
145
that,
days and
wait,
just tell me what you're calling for, Josie.
Okay, I'm calling for a couple of things. That article was amazing. I'm not ready to disclose it
It was
or
great.
talk about my feelings about it because I haven't read it thoroughly and I want to do that. And two, not that anybody cares what I say, but what I'm trying to say is yesterday during Sean's thing, he tried to come up with your name. Well, you can't remember, you can't even imagine how many times
Yeah.
he tried to say the Glarer. What's his name? What's his show? What's his name? It was. I don't think
That
it was
happens
a
to me all
meltdown.
the time. I've actually forgotten his
Yeah.
channel's name too, where I'm like, Sean on the Gulf. What is the name of his fucking
I'm
channel?
going like, how
'Cause
can
I'm
you
trying to
forget? I
plug
mean,
it.
what's going?
And
Yeah,
I
well,
can't
that's
remember the
what
name of
told
his
me.
channel, but it's going through the
Yeah.
motions. But I've forgotten his channel name myself. I've forgotten other people's channel name. I forget Dana and Tracy's channel name sometimes. I forget. I mean, it happens.
Everybody's.
Yeah, which is
It does happen.
which
But
is
what?
resistance
But
to silence,
typically,
by the way.
yeah, but typically under normal circumstances, and that was my point. Typically, that doesn't happen to him. Like when he's talking about Turtle Boy, when he's talking about you, when he's talking about,
No,
a few
Sean has
people,
brain
he
farts
doesn't
all the
get
time.
mistaken.
No, Sean has
Not
brain
like
farts all
that.
the time.
I
Sean has
don't
brain
think he
farts.
had a meltdown yesterday. I
Sean
think he
has
was
brain
off
farts
the
all
grid.
the time.
Can I finish saying what the heck did I call? If you're calling, you didn't call me.
Okay, well,
I called.
did you call to have a conversation, or did you call? I mean,
Yeah.
Here, let me. What I can do
Yeah.
is I can walk you through a tutorial to start your own YouTube channel. Would you like to do that? Would you like me to do that?
No.
Okay.
I can't because I still have a problem with the right hand and the right wrist. I can't put makeup on. I can't do my hair yet. I can't move. There's a numbness on my thumb. Anyhow, can I just say what I just called for?
Please, yeah, and please take all day to complain as well, please. I mean, I got nothing to do.
Oh my God. Okay, and then, maybe I should call later, man. But anyhow, I don't think that Sean had a meltdown yesterday. I think something else is going on. No, he's been off the grid for a couple of weeks. I don't know if you've noticed that, but he's sort of been like taking care of other matters, which, his own thing. I don't need to pry. Nobody needs to pry. Everybody has their own life they have to multitask with. But my point with all this is, I think he got to a point where there were a lot of things going at him, maybe attacks at him. And I don't think that I didn't see any, because typically when I see somebody attacking Kim or anybody, I stand up and I start to block it and I start to, push back so it stops. I didn't see anything against him, but I don't watch Kevin or Plevins or whatever his name is. So I think he got to a point where it was like a boiling water situation, and it just boiled and boiled and boiled until it exploded.
For sure.
And then he ended up taking time from whatever it was that he's doing to call everybody out. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm sure there's an explanation for it. But, I don't think he had anything to do with a dinner or, what was the other thing, or I don't think he had anything to do with anything. I don't think Sean has any expectations of anything. He does this because, and that's my take, he does this because he can't stand up for unfairness, corruption, and any of this stuff.
Right.
Sean can take all of you guys to dinner and pick up the damn tab. He can fly you, he can fly him, he can fly anybody. He doesn't need, what I'm trying to say is there's other things that fuel people. Like people like you, like him, like me. We don't need so much like material stuff to continue on or to move forward or to move a leg or to move our feet. Sometimes it's what is not said that actually fuels our souls. And I don't know. I think that something is off, and I don't know what it is. And I'm not the person that needs to find a map to figure out what I'm supposed to be. So I'm gonna wait until this sort of like rolls out and see how it plays out. But I need everybody to stay focused and remain faithful. I don't know if you noticed yesterday, but I had a situation where I was interacting with one of the McKays. Did you see that?
No.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. So I think it was either one of them a case. I don't know who it was, but somebody was bashing Julio Garcia Mazara. Did you?
Oh, that was
Did you check that out?
on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, because he put a little rubber ducky. The kid doesn't speak English. The kid, and I was trying to tell Turtle Boy too, the kid doesn't have a clue of what the heck a rubber ducky means here in the United States of America, specifically Massachusetts. So he puts it just to blend in, to join in, trying to be accepted, trying to be a part of the thing. But he doesn't know what he's doing. So then all of a sudden he's getting all of these attacks like, I'm going to bust your whatever. And one thing that Enrique brought to everybody, or the situation about Enrique says, there's no divisions among us. It didn't matter whether you were pro or anti or who. Everybody was deeply saddened as far as what happened to Enrique. And I don't know if you noticed that thread of conversations, but there was even an apology. I got those people. Do you know how beautiful that is? When all of a sudden, cease the damn fire, and there's like a common to senses type of thing, and all of a sudden there's peace. It's like, if everything was so easy like this, it's like, why don't we just stop? There's so much damn hate out there, it's like, oh my God, it's just draining. I mean, thank God I'm Latin, because I got what it takes to deal with all of this and a little bit more. But no, I'm serious. But I mean, what do you mean get out of town? Where else am I gonna go? I gotta go vote. That's where I gotta go.
So you're Boricua, right?
No. I mean, I'm sorry, and I don't mean no pun to Puerto Ricans.
Okay.
One of my best friends is from Arecibo, but I am not. I was born here. My parents are in the DR, but I was, for the most part, I spent
I knew it.
1,
Yeah,
2, 3,
that's
4,
right.
5.
Yeah,
I spent 6 years.
Right, Dominicana. Okay.
Six of my years are in. Okay. Mira, deja de relajo, oíste. Yo sé lo que tú estás haciendo. So anyhow, but anyhow, bye.
Tú no sabes nada.
Say hello. Que no sé nada.
Tú no sabes
Te
nada.
voy a dar con un plátano. Anyhow, what was I saying? What was I saying?
Te voy a dar con una malanga, okay?
Why is there a con una chancleta?
Con una malangush, okay?
Con una chancleta. Listen, nobody understands what chancleta or malanga is, so it's like, you're not addressing your audience. But anyhow, now in regards to Karen,
chancletazo.
Okay, go back to your gummies. I'm gonna go back to my coffee.
No, make your last point. Go ahead.
What?
You were going to make a point. Go ahead.
Well, I want to read the article, and I don't know but it's so funny how things work, because then we had Sean last night with all of these emotions out, going through the motions with all of these emotions, and then today the Vanity article comes out. What?
That was a pun. I caught it. Nice. Well done.
Did you see? Did you hear it? And I kept telling him, and every time that he was talking about, I'm going, come on, pun intended. Remember, pun intended. But at the end of the day, the only thing that stayed with me of what he said, the whole thing, the whole John O'Keefe death, it's going to bring all this stuff out. But Karen is the one that is being used as a, guinea pig, and she's the one enduring this stuff.
Right.
I don't know whether she is aware, or I don't know, the word's out is like, there's no second trial. I know she's innocent. She's innocent. A lot of people know she's innocent. But at the end of the day, do we really know she's innocent? I mean, not that we know she's innocent. We know that she's going to be acquitted? Do we know that? Do we know that for sure? Do we know? Now, everybody was asking, well, what is Josh Levy doing? In order for Title VII, I don't know if people know, but in order for you to go with a federal charge against people, which in order for you to acquit Karen, you have to come up with, okay, so she didn't do it, who did it? So in order for Josh Levy to come forward and finally put an end to this thing, he's got to have a very strong case, like stronger than oak, to actually just, show up and say, hey, let's do this.
Agreed.
So is that what we're doing? Are we delaying so they can actually build their oak?
Yeah.
Vote?
We're not delaying anything. They're just building a case. to make sure that they get the conviction,
Okay, at whose expense? At Karen's expense?
At Karen's expense, at the taxpayer's expense.
Wow.
I mean, it just is what it is, but that's what we pay taxes for.
Well, if you ask me where is the fairness here, there's no fairness because, it's like Total Boy lost his mom. This is not about Total Boy. Sean lost his brother, his dad, and whatever. This is not about Sean. Karen is sick too. She's dealing with her own stuff, and even though it's not about Karen, it's about John. Karen is the one that is doing this thing. And Karen is the one that is being accused of murdering somebody that she didn't murder.
I mean, it's about Karen too, but it's because the Commonwealth made it about Karen. I mean,
exactly. So, but what I'm trying to say is, if everybody. So what I'm trying to say is, so there's some people who are pro here, pro there. Well, it's Total Boy or it's Sean. Or there's no sides when it comes to justice. There are no sides when it comes to the right thing. So why don't we just focus on that? That's just my thing. That's my plea.
Agreed. Well said. Josie, thank you so much
on
for
that
calling.
Note, I'm going to go.
Yes.
You too.
Great note to end on.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
We love Josie here, folks. We do. We absolutely do. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Clara.
Dina.
What's going on, my friend? You're online again.
I know. Imagine that.
I don't know where you're getting your energy from. I tried staying up last night, but I ate too many gummies to listen to you. I fell asleep.
Listen, Dina. Okay. I don't know if you heard, but I'm a fucking machine. What? Okay. Goddamn machine.
Clara.
Right? I go. Okay. That's what I do. Right?
I'm keeping it classy. I'm not going to say anything. I'm a go too.
All right. But, see you later.
I'm watching all this
you're not.
Shit
Okay.
going on right now, and everyone's just going to hang in there. We're right at the point of where this is all going to explode, and we just got to keep all our shit together. Karen Reed was framed.
That she was.
And
what did you think of the article?
I haven't read the whole thing. I had to go to work this morning at 5 o'clock.
Oh my God, Dina!
I know.
You think that's an excuse? A job? Stop it.
It's not easy. Well, between job and the gym, it's tough.
Telling you.
I'm not a machine like you.
You got it.
But
go.
I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone and just say, just hang in there, everyone. We got this. We ain't got no quit.
That's right. Dina's letting y'all know we ain't got no quit.
We ain't got no quit. I will let someone else call in, but Will, we absolutely love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for being on last night, and thank you for being on right now. And we'll see you soon in Boston, my favorite.
Hell yeah. All right, Dina. We love you, Dina.
Yeah, bye.
Have a good one.
Love
Bye.
You too.
Call from Melissa.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, I just wanted to invite everyone to our standout in Fall River on Sunday morning. All of our South Coast of Massachusetts people, anyone in Rhode Island.
Right on. What's the standout for?
Something positive. Definitely don't want to talk about everything else that's going on. Just invite everyone down for a standout for Karen on Sunday.
Okay.
Bring your Fall River accents.
Where at?
And it's in Fall River, Mass.
Okay, but where? I mean, people just show up.
Sorry, right? You would park down by where Boston Market used to be, Portugalia, the awesome Portuguese place that if you're not from that area, you wouldn't know about it. Like I grew up in Boston. I had no idea about the food down there. It's posted in the Justice Group. I don't know the exact address, but we have a big Rotary is down there. Kelly is going to be there, I think. I know Kelly's in the chat.
Yeah.
She could probably talk about it a little bit more, but I just heard all these people kind of ranting about other stuff. I want to talk about something positive and invite all of my friends that are in the chat in the area.
Right on. All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, park down by where the old marketplace used to be in Fall River on Sunday at what time?
On 10 to 12.
10 to 12. Stand out. For what? For Karen Reed?
For Karen.
Okay. For
For
Karen Reed?
Karen, Turtle Boy, everything.
Everything. Okay. Right on. So bring your signs, whichever case you're most passionate about. So yeah, between 10 and 12, Fall River, guys.
Yes, thank you, Will. Thanks for everything you do. My dad loves you.
Awesome. I love your dad.
Yeah, when he first started watching the case, he's like, "Have you seen this glarer?" I'm like, "Yes, Dad, I watch him every morning."
Right on. That's awesome. Tell your dad I said you. All right, Melissa.
All right, hope to see you when you come next time. Thanks, guys.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Hell yeah. Got time for one more call, y'all. One more call.
Call from Lisa.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing great, Lisa. How are you?
Good, thank you. I just have a couple of quick points to make. Number one, with Josh Levy, he is a political appointee, so it all depends on who gets elected in this election on whether he will still be the U.S. attorney or not come January. They usually leave with the party that loses, so he's a Republican appointee, a Democratic appointee, and if Trump wins, then he's out. So
Not
we have to hope.
Not necessarily. I mean,
They do. They are. I have family that works in, as Sean says, Uncle Joe's house. They do. They're all political appointees.
I'm not saying they're not political employees or employees. I'm saying that it doesn't necessarily mean that just because Trump gets elected, that means that a Democratic appointed U.S. attorney is going to be booted out. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Trump could be like, well, he's doing a good job. I'm happy with what he's doing, and just leave him on. I mean,
I would hope he stays.
I'd like that too.
And the second thing was, it's been bothering me with Allie McCabe with the Life 360. Didn't it say that she was near Canton High? And that's where they were saying she was driving around Canton.
Okay, real quick. Let me. I need to interrupt real quick. So Cherry is anything Cherry says politically driven. You need to just completely ignore her because she's not even an American. She's a limey, dude. She can't even vote. So what she says as far as politics don't count. So just to give you guys a little context. Sorry, go ahead.
So Allie McCabe's Life 360 said that she was driving around Canton High. Canton High is through the woods behind 34 Fairview. In my opinion is that when Colin left the house, he left with Chloe and he ran through the woods to Canton High, and that's where Allie picked him up. And that's why they were driving around for that few hours that she says that she was at home in bed. That's just my opinion, how they got Chloe out so fast.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people share that same opinion. Again, that's speculation and we're not totally sure, but it does make sense.
Right.
I agree. It absolutely totally makes sense.
That's all I have. I did go to the Halloween party. That was my very first free Karen Reed Turtle Boy event.
Right on. Did you have fun?
Definitely. Had a good time.
What'd you go dressed as?
I was actually a policewoman, and my husband was dressed as Dr. Turtle Boy.
Oh, okay. Right on. Dr. Turtle Boy. Okay.
Dr. Turtle Boy. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was nice. We got to meet Aiden, take a picture. I've seen a lot of people. I recognized a lot of people from the standouts, just seeing them on TV and seeing them at the courthouse. So it was nice. It was a good time.
Right
I'm
on.
glad I went and can support, because I'm up on the northern part of the state. So I'm not that, it's not that convenient to get to Dedham and stuff for me.
Well, I'm sure everybody was really grateful that you came. So yeah, and I'm glad you enjoyed yourself and had fun.
Definitely. Well, I just wanted to call in and just say hi and let you know what my opinions are. But like I said, I hope Josh stays in. He's a really nice guy and he's a hard worker.
I hope so too.
And he's still actually the acting U.S. attorney. He hasn't even been appointed the non-acting yet. So
Yeah,
that's another thing
I we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm not going to worry about Trump being elected and then Josh Levy getting pushed out. So, I mean, and that's why we just have to stay as loud as we are. Make sure there's enough attention on this.
Exactly.
But thank
There's
you so much for
corruption
calling.
everywhere.
I appreciate you
All right.
calling.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks. That is it. Here's the link one last time for the Vanity Fair article. I just dropped it in the chat if you want to read it for yourself. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I am going to wrap this up, guys. Thanks for joining me so early in the morning. It's great to hang out with you guys. Different vibe. Hadn't even had a chance to eat a gummy yet. Actually, I got to go get more. But it's great to hang out with you guys as we always do. And I love hanging out with you guys. It gets better and better every time. So I love you guys very much. Please make sure to hit the like if you haven't already. And if you are new subscribers, please. I hope you enjoy the channel moving forward. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for all of the support. And speaking of which, Joseph Kane, thank you so much. I appreciate you, buddy. Guys, I am going to wrap this up. You guys are absolutely fantastic, and I'm so happy to be part of this community. I do love you guys very much. You are fantastic, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.